extremely happy to introduce Segenet KELEMU to you. Is an old friend of mine, and she took over from where I left. So she took over at icipe. She's the fourth director of the International Center of Insect Physiology and Ecology, where I worked from 2005 to autumn of last year. So it's a great pleasure. Segenet and I know each other. I don't want to name how many years. Many years. So we go back a very long time. Let me just brief you a little bit about Segenet's vita. She's, as we can all see, she is from Ethiopia. She graduated in plant science at the University of Addis Ababa. Did her master's in beautiful Bozeman, Montana. I should say that Segenet is a plant pathologist, a molecular plant pathologist. Did her master's in Montana State, Bozeman. Her PhD, again in molecular plant pathology at Kansas State University in Manhattan. And then worked for a couple of years as a postdoc in Cornell before joining the CGIR, the Consultative Group of International Agricultural Research, at CIAT in Colombia. And that's where we met, actually. That's where we met. Segenet was working in the IPM division of CIAT for quite some time, towards the end of her time in Colombia, being the head of the IPM program in CIAT, which was, for the ones that know a little bit the CG and the history of the CG, the IPM program in the Integrated Pest Management program in CIAT was, within the CG, legendary. It was one of the main drivers in integrated pest management within the CG. They were very strongly involved, for instance, in the cassava mealybug control program in Africa and beyond. So Segenet was the leader of the IPM program before joining the International Livestock Research Institute in Nairobi, where she was the head of the Bioscience Becker, the Becker Hub, the Bioscience for Eastern and Central Africa, which is a phenomenally well-equipped lab complex, primarily focusing on molecular work in Nairobi. For as I said, for the Eastern and Central African region, it's a research complex that is hosted by ILRI, and Segenet was managing this place for 3 years? 5 years. 5 years. 5 years. 5 years. Exactly, 5 years. Then Segenet became the vice president of AGRA, the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, which has its headquarters also in Nairobi. This is one of the most significant investment of the Gates Foundation in agriculture, the AGRA program, spearheaded by Kofi Annan. And Segenet was the vice president for operation, for programs, but very shortly, very shortly, before she was snatched by icipe, as I said before, as the fourth Director General, and she is at icipe since November last year. Segenet has batteries of prizes received over the years. I'll just mention two. She was, in 2014, she got the L'Oreal Science Award for Women in Science, and 2 years before, in 2011, she got the TWAS prize in agriculture, TWAS, the Academy of Sciences for the Developing World, and she shared this together with my ex-colleague, her new colleague Zia Khan, the head of the icipe's famous push-pull program. So that was also already, if you want, this was a kind of an indication of where Segenet potentially was heading. great pleasure having Segenet here. She's going to tell us about icipe's contribution to agricultural transformation. Segenet, you're most welcome. The floor is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. It's really a great pleasure. This is my first time to be here, and so everything I'm going to tell you is actually is not my work. It is Christian's work. So and the team under him. So I repeatedly have been told by icipe staff. When I joined in November, I met with the staff in small groups, starting from the cleaners up. So group after group told me that Christian is the reason why icipe was saved, because when he took over, the organization was in deep financial crisis. So even at one point I told Christian that, wow, you are brave. If I know that an organization is in such a bad shape, I will not take that position. But he did, I think, and he took it to a level, quadrupled the fund to 4 times. So I think he's also the only Director General I know of in any organization where no staff member is saying anything negative about. So I'm like, oh, wow, this is really something new for me. So when I leave, I hope 80% of the staff say positive things. But so that is it. So I think I will give a presentation, and then all the questions I will push it to Christian. So before that, let me brag about Africa a little bit. I think most people know of Africa as a land of misery and poverty, thanks to CNN. But for a change, CNN, this is data taken from CNN, an article they wrote, a comprehensive article in July of last year on what Africa is actually contributing to the rest of the world. Basically, the headline was that Africa is fueling the global development. So everything from electronics, your laptop, our mobile phone, our airplanes, our everything needs something one way or another in high amount or so. That's the materials that come from Africa. So this is really the world's among the world's contribution to Africa, but Africa's contribution to the world, but Africa has also contributed enormous wealth, genetic wealth, and both plant, animal, and microbial wealth to the rest of the world, including coffee. When I used to live in Colombia, as Christian said, people would ask me, where are you from? And I will tell them, Ethiopia. Oh, that is a country that is always hungry. And I tell them, no, that's the country that gave you coffee, because they take pride in their high-quality coffee that is exported. However, I think Africa needs to use all this, enhance its capacity to really fuel its own development as well. So on icipe, let me give you general facts. This is a center of excellence in Africa for research and capacity building, and it is an intergovernmental organization where it is chartered, signed by certain countries globally, both in Africa, Europe, even Latin America and Asia. We have currently more than actually 400 staff members, and about also 100, I think, contracted workers and several graduate students also actually. This is the average 50 to 70, but 2014 figure is 118 master's and PhD students registered in many universities. It is an organization not only with a unique history. It's more than 40 years old. It is founded by a Kenyan, Thomas Odhiambo, an entomologist who felt that insects actually play a critical role in mankind and well-being, and also as well as in destruction of some of our crops, health, and so on. So we operate, as I said, this is exclusively African-focused. currently we operate in we have activities in 30 African countries and is expanding. We are based in Nairobi, but we have a physical presence also in Ethiopia, Uganda, Tanzania, and we'll be expanding also to West Africa and so on. We work what we call 4 health paradigm, working on human, animal, plant, and environmental health, but always insects are as entry point, as I said. But I think this is a unique organization also that combines agriculture and health. So I was telling today, I was at my colleague Anna and I were at BMZ. I was telling the staff there that actually this is unique and different from the CGIAR centers because it addresses a comprehensive plan for Africa, and it's extremely critical for Africa. It addresses critical issues for Africa. In the human health area, malaria is a very important focus. Sleeping sickness transmitted by flies and Rift Valley fever. We are slightly refocusing and restructuring some of our operations to have more focus, but also building also critical mass of scientists around some areas, putting all our efforts together, and then filling the gap through partnership, and also then that way we can also raise large funds in some of these areas. So this is, I think, just an example of some of the malaria research. This is a recent work where this paper came out where it shows that malaria, the mosquitoes that are infected with the malaria, they are attracted to certain sugars. So this is something new. It was published in Current Biology, and then even Nature highlighted it in its thing. I think, Christian, you are a co-author in this. So this is from Christian's days, not from mine. So this is really one of the key findings. In animal health also, we work on cattle, we work on milk value chain in camels and camel. Again, on diseases that are transmitted by insects. I think this is one exciting area on combating flies. This is several years ago, that icipe scientists discovered that flies don't come near the water bugs. This is a water bug animal. And through a series of experiments, they discovered that actually the reason is that there are volatile compounds released by this animal that is serving as a repellent to these flies. That's why these animals can live in infected areas without any problem. So that was the aha moment for the scientists. It's like, okay, maybe we can put the cows in the water bug scheme. So we have now a product through this chemical and through a collar system where the collar is around the cow and the chemical is emitted in the same way, imitating the water bug. So the key is now, this we know it works. It fits in the pastoral system where the nomads, the Maasai can go around, but how do we then scale it out? This is needed for a number of African countries where they are affected by flies, but how do we scale it out? This is a bottleneck. So yesterday I had a meeting with a company, this German-based here, a company that is developing this collar in a plastic. So they have done a series of experiments testing to also test the permeation, the release of this chemical, the sturdiness, and so on. So they have promised that they will generate the prototype of this by November. Then we'll have to find a manufacturer that can manufacture millions of this, because the cows, Africa has millions of cattle. So these are some of the exciting things. There is also trapping system also that traps also with colors and so on. That Maasai, you can see, they can just pack this and take it around. So a lot of what icipe does has applicability. Yes, the scientists publish in high-quality journals, but also we are not in academia. We have to find also ways how to impact people and how to reach the end users and make these technologies and products available to the farmers who need it most. In plant health area, it's also significant amount of work. We work, the beauty of icipe is that we can work in a number of things that are relevant to Africa. We don't have this restriction like the CGIAR system where you only work on rice, you only work on maize. So we work on what is relevant for Africa. So we work on a range of these crops and we approach it in a more comprehensive way, how to tackle the insect pests and the diseases they transmit. So one exciting thing I think which excites me is one technology is what you call, it's not, I don't like the word to use push-pull technology, but as part of research to control stem borers in maize, accidentally some scientists at icipe discovered some years ago that this plant, a tropical forage plant called Desmodium, actually it controls the parasitic weed striga, which is a huge food security threat across Africa. It affects a number of cereals. It has a wide host range within cereals. So this is also, the beauty is that it is, because it's legume, it fixes nitrogen into the soil. It controls other weeds, which is critical for Africa because all the back-breaking work like weeding and everything is reserved for women in Africa. Huh? So it is saving a significant amount of time for women, so it controls it. And it's also feed to animals, so it is a win-win situation. So, okay, once we discover this, then what do we do? So you can see how it does. This, the beautiful flower, that is a striga, the purple. You can see maize with beans or maize alone with maize and maize with those desmodium there. So you can see it is really a black and white technology. You have it and you don't have it. So this is a fantastic discovery. So it works also on rice, and in a long-term experiment, what this does actually is that if you continuously, for example, for 5 years, you grow desmodium into the soil, you can completely deplete, remove the striga seeds that can survive in the soil for many years. So the Gates Foundation now is very interested because they invest a lot of money into striga management. They are interested, they are looking into a large-scale eradication program for striga using this technology. However, we have a bottleneck. The bottleneck is we cannot produce enough seed of desmodium to scale out these technologies. So we have recently now contracted, brought in with new EU grant, a tropical forage seed company that knows how to produce a seed. So we are going to scale this at a large scale and reach a wide range of parts of Africa to eradicate this food security parasitic weed. We have also recently found, we were informed by our partners in Ethiopia, this desmodium also controls another parasitic weed called orobanki. So we are going to work on that also. So this also, as part of also sustainable insect management, also work, we also found this is an African grass, brachiaria. We found also this brachiaria, which is part of the push-pull technology work system, that actually it does other things also. It provides You are a co-author for this also, eh?
No.
No, you are not. Okay. So, so this is Brachiaria brillanta. In my past research work, I worked on this grass also. So, when what happens is when the stem borer lays its egg on Brachiaria and this grass, certain chemicals get significantly reduced, which makes them not attractive for other stem borer females to come and lay eggs. But also, this also attracts other parasitoids to come and feed on the eggs. A very beautiful system. So we are continuously discovering new things, which is exciting for science, making breakthroughs. But we also eventually also will find also use applicability for this also. Environmental health, I think this is also one of the areas which is very attractive for many donors. We work, I think, on the major operation now is in apiculture on bees. You all know that bees are not only producing honey, but they also are critical for food security. About 70% of our crops are pollinated by bees. So if bees have to disappear tomorrow, our food security will be different. Will be things. So this is what I tell a lot of the ministers who don't understand what is the role of this. Food security doesn't come just by boosting yield in maize or sorghum or this, but I think you have to look at it in a more comprehensive, holistic way. So at the moment we have also large funding in this from the EU. Christian got it, not me, and we have now a new grant since I came, also in a different area by the EU also. So we have, as part of the previous EU grants, we established a large reference bee health lab, which will be a reference lab in Africa. So we'll be inaugurating it in November. You are invited, Christian. So you can say that is yours, not mine. Okay. But so as part of that, also we are also putting in 5 countries reference other satellite labs across Africa. So this is going to make a big difference, and also for not only income generation for farmers in beekeeping, but also for food security as well. So this is just part of the thing, the bee work. So one of the things we are doing, the EU again is interested in funding us up to €7 million for next year. We have submitted a concept note to do a systematic bee breeding and genomics work. Why? Because the African bee composition and genotype is different from the rest. The bee health in Europe and in North America is threatened, as many of you know. So recent work we published shows that actually the African bee is different, and we were highlighted based on that work in National Geographic. So I think if we do it right, we characterize all the bee composition in Africa, we establish a sperm bank, and our labs do extensive gene identification and breeding, we can actually provide solution to the rest of the world, not just to Africa, and I think we can do that. Yeah. We have a number of also products based on botanicals, based on local knowledge, and across Africa. Africans have a lot of knowledge, but which goes from generation to generation. What we do then is that we take that knowledge, we bring the science behind it to find actually what is actually some of this doing. So we have mosquito repellents, we have a lot of different things. These are products that came from icipe's research. You can find it in supermarkets in Kenya. So recently, also we actually established a program. This was something also started during Christian's time, but we took it further. So we now established a strategy, a framework to do insects for food and feed and other use. So insects traditionally, they are consumed across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. So people eat that. This is a good source of protein, high quality protein. So again, food security should not come from cassava or maize or whatever. We have to focus on what people like to eat, and also what they know also to prepare or whatever. And again, for example, in Africa, in Central Africa, in West Africa, in Southern Africa, insect traditionally use a good source of protein. And usually it is a women's task again to go seasonally to the forest and children to collect these insects. So icipe, our strategy now is that icipe has many years of experience in mass rearing insects for experimental purpose. So why can't we then use this expertise to produce this thing for food and feed? The chicken that are sold as organic, free roaming, what do they eat? They go and dig, it is insect that they eat. It's not anything else, not dirt they are picking. Yeah? So why can't we produce this in mass, use our technology? So this is some of the figures that we use for experimental purpose. So we have experience of mass rearing more than 100 species. So we have recently received a $2.3 million grant from Australia and jointly Australia and Canada, IDRC. So I think this is going to be one of the expanding programs at icipe. This is also a number of now donors are also interested because they are, for example, the Gates Foundation. They invest heavily now on chicken. Chicken is a focus, but chicken feed is an issue. So they are coming out to us, okay, maybe we can partner also here, we can do. There are a number of also donors that are focusing on fishery, but feed is, again, comes in. So Sweden is saying, okay, maybe that you guys can come in to provide this insect feed. So there's a tremendous impact on this. So we are also doing a lot of, in terms of feed, we have recently done also inventory all across Africa. So it's a huge number of different species are being used, also consumed. So we use that local knowledge. They know how to feed, to eat it. They know for generations there is no toxicity issues that we know of. So what we can come in here is that then to develop on rearing technology on substrates that are cheap, that are available to them, but also bring in the science behind it, the nutritional analysis and so on. So this is going to be, I see this is going to be one of the growing areas in icipe. So capacity building is critical. It's very, very critical for across Africa or any other country. So I think I always say, an example I say is the difference between Kenya and Germany or Ethiopia and Switzerland. It's really capacity when it comes boiled down. The capacity of people to innovate, to adapt, to really meet the challenges of things. So icipe has been focusing on capacity to enhance institutional and individual capacity. So this is one of the effective programs across icipe, which is well integrated into the research. We just came back from a meeting with Alexander Humboldt. Okay. So one of the things now we have agreed is that we're going to sign an agreement where we can take this to the next level. So the graduate students who have bright ones who finished their PhDs, and then we can take them to the next level of establishing them through funding from there. So this is so there are a number of donors that are investing here, and many of these graduates who have passed through icipe, they are very successful all across Africa. So almost every organization, every country you go, they will tell you that they have gone through ARPIS program. So this is a very exciting area. So we are a research organization, but we are not academia. We can publish in high quality science, we can make discoveries, but that's not the reason we were created. The reason we are created is really to make impact, to make a difference in the people, for the people of Africa. So how do we take that? We are not suited to scale out technologies, translate our research outputs into product, translate it into impact. So we have to partner with those that can do this thing better than we do. So this partnership with private sector is one way to reach our end users. A number of this partnership were established by Christian. One good example is a company, a Kenyan-based company called Real IPM. So these are the products, for example, that are commercialized, that came out of icipe for insects control, and there is one which is about to come out against ticks, also in animals. So this is one area, and you can see these countries where the company has managed to crack the market to register the product. We have tremendously expanded that, making sure that there are companies also that work in West Africa, in Central Africa, and we are making partnership with different products also to get this as fast as we can, and also to reach as many people as we can. So there are 1 billion people in Africa, but I think if we have to do it just drip like this, it will be going to be a lifetime. So we have to find ways to reach as fast as we can. So when I say drip, this is a good start. For example, here you can see data given to us from the private sector. They have reached, for example, about 29,000 hectares and about 20,000 growers. That's good, but that's not good enough. As I said, we have to reach a lot more. And I think there is many ways that we can reach this. But I think also maybe they are not also disclosing all their thing, because they have to give us a certain percentage of the sale. So I have to reassure them that forget about the money, I want the impact, so just tell me the real figure here. So it's hard for me to believe this is all they sell to make it, but okay. So we have to readjust our agreement. So forget the money, give me the data. So yeah. So these are some of the biopesticides in the pipeline with different companies. And so on. I think this one, the one in against ticks, a lot of people are interested in there, because the traditional chemical, imported chemical, acaricide, the ticks are developing resistance to that. I think this thing, if it really works, it can also have access. They can also break the European market itself, because there is a tick problem also everywhere. So it's so the partnership, again, this is we are bringing more, as I have said. So for insects, for food and feed, they are already lining up also these companies that are based in this, because they are already producing some of these insects and packaging and selling them for feed, animal feed, and so on. So these are the companies and this one, Grupo Papalotla, we're ready to sign now an agreement to basically produce the striga control seed, Desmodium. And Taikona is the one we just had a meeting yesterday here in Germany. So this one is also, actually we have signed an agreement with them. It's not in the pipeline. You signed it yourself, yeah. So they have gone really an advanced stage. It's very, very good, yeah. So communication is very, very important. At BMZ, the boss was telling me that communication is very, very important. How do you communicate, actually? Because they say So yes, this is a taxpayer money, the Germany money which goes into Africa. So the taxpayers also have to see actually whether their money is being used there properly. Yeah? So definitely we have created a 5-member communication unit. So for example, this year, based on our work on bees, we were featured in National Geographic, which really created a lot of buzz. So they have a circulation of 31 million readers, so that was great. Huh? So we are doing, yes, high quality publication, it's good, but also, the policymakers, the general public is not reading our articles. So this is also some of the things that we are doing. These are some of the articles which came out this year on icipe work. We are, infrastructure is an issue. Many donors don't put money into infrastructure, but it's very important. Huh? Infrastructure is extremely important. Our labs and buildings are aging, so we are developing now a 10-year plan, modernization plan, to do it systematically, to revamp the labs and offices and so on. We have a large amount of money from the Swiss on greening of icipe that was generated by Christian, but I received the money after he left. So, right? Yeah, after he left, yeah. So this is also going to help us also further improve the thing. As I said, any organization has to reposition itself, has to reposition, make it self-relevant. So we are restructuring some of the areas, refocusing and regrouping and putting a critical mass of people as much as we can, either through partnership or through our own funding, and so on. So this is some of this area that we are doing. And in terms of administration, we have also repositioning icipe. So when Christian took over, as I said, icipe, it was a $9 million annual budget, didn't have enough money, so it was very lean on the top, extremely lean. But it has quadrupled, and it is increasing also that size. So it cannot sustain with just such a lean top. So we have just created, and not created, but actually created and recruited a director of research and partnership. Basically, what was when Christian was there is a director of finance and administration, and Christian as a CEO and also as a research director. So he was doing multiple work. So I wanted to ease that one. So we have actually the new director of research and partnership arrived from Australia yesterday. So we have also hired a new capacity building, restructured the capacity building, communication unit, and so on. So we have several positions to fill. So one of the criticisms we're facing through the external audit, that is we don't have any succession plan of any unit. So we have very senior people there, and then the very junior people, there is nothing in between. So that was identified as high risk. I agree with that. So if I drop dead tomorrow, the director of research can come in as a thing. So we are systematically putting that succession plan in the middle also. But again, there is a limitation. So we are financial limitation to do. So we have identified HR, and the CEO and the finance will have also, and so on, to have that critical gap filling in succession plan. So all this is possible because of the funding. These are the core fund donors, the government of Germany, UK, the Kenyan government, Sweden, and Switzerland are our core donors. And then we have many project funding. The European Union is at the moment the largest core donor. So this is good. So our fundraising strategy now is to hold on to these people, never take them for granted. That's why I'm going from Germany. I was in Sweden. I met all this. The next would be Switzerland and UK. Hold on to these people. Never take your old friends for granted. But then bring in new donors also. So these are some of the new donors that we brought since I joined. So some of them, they were not new. Wellcome Trust, National Health Institute, but icipe was subcontracted. So we became now a direct grantee for Wellcome Trust, direct grantee for NIH for a project. Volkswagen is a new donor in capacity building. Australia become also a new donor for insect for feed. Australian International became also Australia a new donor, but through a fully paid communication officer. So that is also good. So when you bring in a new donor, it doesn't matter the amount. You have to crack the door, and then the money comes in. So when I brought in my previous job, the Gates Foundation as a donor, as a direct donor, I started with $75,000. And my boss said, "Are you crazy? I can give you a check for that. Why are you wasting my time with $75,000?" I said, "Don't worry. Becoming a first direct grantee has value." So a year and a half later, we got $11 million. So that's how we started. So and so on. So now the focus is, what is the discussion is this one, the Mastercard Foundation. We have gone now to the second round of approval for a $10 million grant. So for me, this foundation is not just the money. They have a different way of thinking and doing business. So it's going to shift us, force us to think very differently on how we are going to take this and make impact in the people. They are based in Canada. They have to give out by law for tax reason $200 million a year. 90% of that has to be spent in sub-Saharan Africa. So, but they are only 50 people. They don't have capacity to manage that, so they give in bulk large grants. So 10 million is too little for them. But that's okay. I will get that, and then we'll go to the next stage. Yeah? So this is, Gates Foundation is also invests tremendous amount of money in Africa, in human health, in animal health, in crop. But we are not direct grantees. We are getting subcontracted through their direct grantees. So we have been really working hard. So we are slotted for next year. This one also, ACF African Enterprise Challenge Fund, is also an interesting donor that has about $250 million portfolio, but they would not directly fund us as a research organization. They fund private sector that takes research product. That's fine with us, because if they can fund our private sector partners, then we can do still fulfill, taking our thing and then making the impact. So they are also, I think we are at advanced stage. Most is, I think for this call, they have made a call. They came and gave a presentation preparing us how to do it. I think we'll get that. So so there's a different angle that we are doing, different ways of doing so that we make impact, not just bring money, but also how to expand our operation and our thinking and our delivery. So because, yeah, we have to do different things. So the vision and strategy of this until 2020, again, I got a draft left by Christian, so we made it shorter. We hired someone to rewrite it, so this is ready to go. Our governing council is excited by this, how it was made. It's nice. So it will be released next week or so, I think. It's ready to go, basically, yeah. So That's all I have. Thank you. Thank you. So all the question goes to him, huh?
First of all, a glass of water. I should have
Okay.
given you
Okay.
only. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you very much, Segenet.
Thank you. So, and one thing I didn't mention is Christian gave me this job, okay? So, okay.
Nonsense. But it's nice to see some old stuff, some new stuff. The new stuff is very exciting. Thank you very much. Floor is open. Floor is open. Questions, comments? Who wants to bring
Yes.
One question, actually.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you don't like the expression push-pull method, but you
Yeah.
didn't say why.
Because I think it undersells the product. The push-pull, that one was created for just that stem borer thing. Yeah? Stem borer control that you push the stem borer, you get it somewhere, yeah, that's it. But I think this accidental discovery of the desmodium for that push-pull thing, it does a lot more than that. It controls striga, fixes nitrogen, improves the soil. So you can sell it as a conservation agriculture. You can sell it in different ways. But then push-pull, and then people say, even when I went to Sweden, they say, is there anything that actually icipe does as a push-pull? It's like, yeah, this one actually has a lot of different things inside. Yeah. That's why I think it undersells what it does. That's the reason why.
Completely agree. Actually, the striga problem,
Yeah.
if you look at it from a food security point
Yeah.
of view, striga problem is bigger than the...
It's much bigger than the stem borer. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
And it was,
everything.
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
The striga thing was
Yeah.
completely serendipitous.
Yeah.
That this,
Yeah.
I mean, nobody was expecting this.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this actually, the striga control is going to make huge impact across Africa, more than any of this stem borer control which is going to do. So we also recently found out this PGMP also does that, but to a less extent. So we said, okay, PGMP is pretty good as well because it is to a less extent. It doesn't complete the control, but you can use it in areas where the infestation of striga is less. And PGMP is in high demand because the Indians are coming in mass to take everything that Africans are, the PGMP that is produced in Africa. So this is a good income thing that you can do. You can do intercropping, control striga, and then produce a high income guaranteed market to India. Yeah.
I just want to ask one question about, because you mentioned about mangoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because in West Africa now we are having this stick and bee,
Yeah.
eating the mangoes inside. And
This is a fruit fly or something?
yeah, and
Fruit fly.
export the mangoes.
Yeah.
I was watching the documentary like 2 weeks ago. Countries like Senegal and Mali,
Yeah.
that is a big problem. I was asking if you are doing something.
Yes, the fruit fly. Yeah? No, that is one of our big operations. We have a lot of products that are controlling. This is not just West Africa. Kenya also is preventing the export of its crop because there is zero tolerance to that fruit fly. So we have a complete package of technology to control this. So a lot of this private sector that are actually coming lining up is most of them they want that product to commercialize. So we have a complete
That is in
package.
the pipeline.
Yes, yeah, but it's not. It's ready to go. Basically, the product is ready to go. So, but somebody has to come in, formulate it, commercialize it, register it. You cannot just go take a product in a country. You have to register it also, and then you are allowed to sell it. Yeah? But this is ready to go, and I think actually the EU is interested now in that because of the importance of what you are saying. Yeah, it's in avocados, in mango, in a lot of things. And then it's preventing export into anywhere, into Europe and anywhere. Yeah.
Daniel?
Just two questions. First, you said that African bees genotypically are different than
Yeah.
European nations. And you said that through that you could provide some traits to the European or Asian
Yeah.
bees. Which would be those ones? And the second, if you allow me, is that you just mentioned about fruit flies. And I know that the Brazilians are just releasing some GMO, I mean,
sterile food. Yeah.
To
Yeah.
treat these things.
Yeah.
What's the viewpoint of icipe concerning that? GMOs in general. That's what.
That's not GM.
It's
This
a-
is sterile male
it's
release.
sterile
That's
male,
completely
yeah.
different.
So, yeah.
But we know that since decades. Before
Yes.
they were doing that thing, but now I know that the new thing is that they are GMO.
A GM, okay, like the J mosquito also. Okay, first, the bee. So what, okay, let me reiterate what I said. So we know now that, that the Africa bees are, I think many people know that this Africa bee is different, it's more diverse and so on. So with a new EU proposal that we, or concept note we have submitted, what we are proposing is that one, will establish a sperm bank for all the bees across Africa, one. Two, will characterize and identify genes for resistance to varroamitis, for this, for that, all these yields of the thing. So it's possible. So once we do that, what I'm saying is if we do it right, we can provide also solution to the rest. A lot of the sources of resistance for diseases in crops or in animals, the origin is in Africa. So, for example, the barley yellow dwarf virus resistance, the only source of resistance which really saved the beer industry, it came from Ethiopia. Which was conserved for a generation of years. So I think the bees would be the same thing, I think, if we do it. On GM, so your question is what is our stance on GM or GM technology? Oh, okay. Here I'm entering, okay, there are no politicians here, so I can say. Okay. So I think for me, this GM issue is really blown out of proportion. GM technology is more precise than random breeding. Okay? When you are doing breeding, for conventional breeding, you are combining this and that. So you get also a chunk of the unnecessary genes together also in the GM, you can do it very precisely, precision is that. So I think there is a lot of politics going with it. Saying, oh yeah, it's going to make you sterile, you are going to, if you eat GM, it's going to do this. I think if it's done properly, strategically, all the regulatory bodies in place, I think it can make an impact for Africa or elsewhere in globally. However, also that the supporters of the GM is also blowing it out of proportion, saying that this is going to be your silver bullet to solve. It's no silver bullet. But it can allow us to access genes from anywhere, from the BT. The gene comes from a bacteria, and we put it in the plant, so that normally you don't cross. So from anywhere, any organism, you can access any gene and bring it together. So I think icipe shouldn't shy away if it is going to make a difference for people, if it is going to solve some of the critical problems that we cannot solve in a conventional way. We should do that. That's my stance.
More questions?
Yes. Thank you for the very nice presentation. As you mentioned earlier on your presentation, you mentioned the role of insects in nutrition security. I'm just wondering whether icipe have done such an assessments or evaluations on the roles, of insect treatment, for example.
Where are you from?
Indonesia.
Indonesia. Do you eat insects there?
Thailand
Thailand is they eat. Thailand is really fully blown. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether icipe have done such an assessments on how actually insects really affect the nutrition outcome for such
people.
households.
No, I think this is a relatively new area, as I have said. However, I think we are not just going and checking, oh, this one insect is interesting, put it for food for your plate. Our strategy is to focus on insects that have been consumed by people for generations without any problem. So we bring in the science, then we do mass reading technology, And also we bring in the nutritional analysis also in the labs, also in the chemical ecology lab. But we are not going to bring in something. So far what we have done is a general inventory across Africa. What are the type of insects that are being consumed? And that publication is going to come out soon. Some little bit of it. But I think there is a lot I think we can learn from Thailand, how they have made it completely mainstream. Some insects that are packaged and sold in the supermarket, they cost more than a chicken or more than shrimp. So they have completely made it completely mainstream. So I think there is a lot we can learn from them, yeah.
And there's quite a lot of information about, say, amino acid composition
Yes,
of different
yeah.
insects.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
you know, the kind of protein contribution that insects as part of human diet
Yeah,
can have, especially for children.
Mm.
So there is already some information.
Yeah,
For
there is.
some,
Yeah, that's right. There is in Kenya there is a company, actually a baby food, that puts termite ground in baby. It's labeled, okay? It's a termite, 10% termite, and it's high zinc, I think it has, high mineral, and parents see that they buy it, and the kids are okay. Maybe they will be smarter, right? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure in 20 years when you eat a hamburger and you read the small print down there, it contains, and then you will have batteries of little Latin names nobody can associate with. And we are looking at a lot of six-legged crawled organisms.
If you can eat shrimp, it's okay.
Macerated into your hamburger. More questions? Please.
First of all, thank you very much for a nice presentation.
You're from China? China?
Yeah, you're
okay.
right.
Okay, yeah.
Good.
I had Chinese graduate students. Okay.
And here now I have two questions for
Yes.
you. And one you mentioned about one plant for intercropping, interplanting.
Yeah.
It's named Desmodium.
Desmodium, yes.
Yeah. I was working in one place, just a monoculture of rubber trees here.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a picture that this kind of plant was working really, really good with rice and corn.
Yes.
And now I wanna ask you, how about when it's interplanted with rubber trees or with a lot of shadow?
Yeah.
And how about the impact to pollinators? Did you make a research on that?
No, we haven't made that on that. But on rubber in Latin America, actually, this one it is used as a cover crop to suppress other weeds. So the same plant is Desmodium. So it can work, I think. Yeah. I'm not sure about the shade, but I think it works in intercropping, and it suppresses all other seeds, weeds, but also it fixes nitrogen. So 160 kilogram per hectare.
And how about you did a lot of research on the insects the African people used for food or for other things, and also
in China, I'm sure you eat also.
Yeah.
Everything is eaten in China, so
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wanna no offense.
Yeah.
I just wanna ask you, did you do some research or investigations about the other insects which are really important for the biological system?
Yeah, no, we haven't. Like a biocontrol, or
For example, some moths or some butterflies or some other. Really
No, we have
important-
not. Yeah, we have not. Yeah, we have not.
The last question.
Okay.
We have a saying, agriculture plays a big role upcountry, not in the big cities, but the tendency is that all big research stations, wherever you go worldwide, are concentrated next to the big airports or big cities.
Yeah.
Like icipe now in Nairobi, they started in Beta Point.
Yeah.
And this is the agriculture most important area for Kenya. Do you still have, or they still have, substations in agriculture, rural areas, or concentrate all their work only near the big cities?
You mean icipe or icipe?
Yeah, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Sure.
So Well, yeah, we have to do in big cities because, for example, myself, if I'm asked to be put somewhere in a village, I would not take it because my kid would not have access to good education. So you have also to make it attractive, medical access to medical care, to also good kids education, so that you attract the very best people. But having said that, we have icipe has in Kusumu in Vita Point, which is near Lake Victoria. We have about 200 people there. 200, 100 people. Yeah. We have also other locations across Kenya. Some of our infrastructure is run down, but we will strengthen them, and a few people are positioned there. But again, I think if we, as I said, if we are somewhere else inaccessible, then I think we will have difficulty attracting the good scientists to come, especially families and so on. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Segenet.
Thank you.
Very much.
Yeah.
Let's give it a